Not there.
وهو دائما معنا
Yes, okay. Yeah.
So today, with God's grace, with our final lecture, we're going to talk about social challenges. So these are challenges that, sadly, are coming from society. Society itself is not cooperating with the work of God, okay? It's not supposed to, actually. There's no surprise. But before we talk about the challenges themselves, there's only 3 of them we'll talk about today, is I want to say that everything happens in a social context. You cannot avoid or escape society. Okay? You can't escape it. All right? And I didn't put it here, but remember when Jesus had this, I forgot the formal name of it, but this beautiful long prayer to the Father when I think John 17, and he was saying, I do not pray that you take them out of the world, right? But that you protect them, right? And that I don't lose any of them, right? So our goal as servants is not to take the kids out of the world. Actually, we can't even do it even if we wanted to, right? So everything happens in a social context. And our church community is a social group, right? There's a social aspect to it, which is very important, right? You can't escape society. And as Christians, you're always going to find, and please, I'm just setting the expectations. You're always going to find a healthy tension between the Christian and the world that the Christian lives in. There's always going to be tension, okay? We love the people that make up society, but we are well aware of the harm and the blasphemy that an ungodly society can cause, right? We love the people of this society, but we're also very, very aware that this society can cause a lot of harm, can cause blasphemy, like just wrong things, right? Very wrong things, right? And our society can be very ungodly, but we can't escape it, okay? What we need to do, to sum it all up, is we need to avoid shortcuts, okay? Don't be lazy as a servant. Okay, in other words, sometimes we take the lazy way out, and some kid tells us about a problem. We don't care about learning anything, whatever. All we want to do is just tell them, no, stop, don't do it. That's it. And we want to stop. That's it. We don't want to go deeper, right? I remember just one of the many, many examples. When I was in high school, the message was very clear. Don't date. No dating, right? Don't touch, nothing. Don't date, right? And then you get to college, your sophomore, junior year, how come you're not married? Right? What's going on? How about this person here? How about that person there? Right? Because we were not delivering a healthy message about relationships during these years. All we were focused on is make sure the kids don't have sex and don't date and don't kiss. That's it. If we do that, we're good. But that's not the full, robust view that we need to have, right? We need to not be lazy and learn, right? You can't hate it all and you can't love it all, right? We have to do the work to understand what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong. And we have to do that work. If you do hate society, and this is how you're going to be as a servant, you're going to cut yourself off to most of the world. And you know what? This is the same world that you're called to preach to, right? So you can't just walk around and hate everything. I hate this world. It's all going to hell, right? You can't do that, right? This is not the right spirit. So now let's talk about, I hope everyone is with me so far on this point, okay? So now I want to start talking about the challenges. The first one is so heartbreaking, very heartbreaking, which is the general breakdown of the family. The family, as a construct of society, is breaking down, okay? And we are all seeing this with our own eyes. The family, which in God's design, God designed the family. God invented family, He invented it, right? In his design, the family is supposed to be a source of stability. And the family is a guide for everyone into the church, right? Because when we're baptized, who is making the commitment to bring this child up in the faith? The parents, right? And in the early church, if it wasn't Christian parents, there would be godparents, right? So now the parents kind of like play both roles, right? They play like biological parents and the godparents, right? Like they do have both roles, right? So the family is supposed to guide the person. They're supposed to be a source of stability, a safe home, a safe place, safety. Think of this word, please, safety. Do the kids feel safe in their home? Do the kids that I serve feel safe? In Arabic, when they say gal, like the mood or the tone, right? Like some people, they walk into their homes and the tone is very sad. They don't want to be there, right? The kids go straight to their rooms, right? And this is very common, right? But the problem is that the family on average is weak and dysfunctional. And by the time we reach these people, they are broken and skeptical, right? By the time we reach the person as servants, that person is broken and skeptical. Skeptical means like, do I trust you? Like you're an authority figure. You're a leader. I don't know about you, and it takes time to build trust, right? You see, it's kind of like your starting point is an obstacle as a servant a lot of times, right? This is directly relevant to our service because the family is a microcosm of the church family, right? So the church family is made up of all these families. There's no gap there, right? What's the cause? Number one, the causes of the breakdown of the family are that the demands on the family are increasing and the parents are not prepared. I'm not saying this in a critical way. I'm just trying to acknowledge reality, right? What's happening? We already spoke yesterday about the cultural differences within the church family. But I also quickly mentioned that even within one home, there's cultural differences, right? Between the parents and the kids, right? It's nobody's fault, right? It's just reality, right? So you have in one home, 4 people, 3 people, 5 people, there's cultural differences. Both of the parents are working. There's a rapid flow of information. There's information coming into the home through all these devices, through the kids' experiences outside. All this information is going into the home, and can you imagine the parents have to like respond one by one. It's like لما صدقنا we understood what homosexuality is, and then we got to deal with the transgender thing, right? It's like the parents are like, we don't even know what to respond to first. And then, even if we prioritize it, we still have to spend the time to learn what this is, what the right response is, how do we prepare all this stuff, right? It's very hard. It's very hard, right? Also, sadly, society is critical of certain family values and roles in the family. In the movies, on average, men are seen as incapable of dealing with sophisticated matters, dumb and emotionally oblivious. Like, in other words, on average, in the media, when you see like a man, he's dumb. Like, just like, he needs his wife to do all the important things, right? So you can, I'm not saying that we don't need each other as spouses, but I'm saying that there's this understanding or like something being planted in our minds and hearts that the man is not standing on his own and able to lead, right? He's weak, right? And we have the other issue, which is that we see women as not having the same authority and power as men, right? So on both sides, the parents are being attacked, and the child is just watching this, and the role of the parents is being weakened, right? And then, of course, this reflects on how they view themselves, right? So the other issue is that each family, most of the time, is on its own. Like this is one of the big losses or problems in the individualistic culture, right? That each family unit is like on its own. Like nobody cares about me. I'm on my own, whatever, right? And especially in our Egyptian community, there's a lot of shame, a lot of secrecy. Like it's beyond privacy. It's secrecy, right? Like, we're not going to talk about this, right? Like, I had someone tell me the other day, we talk about everything, like everything. And then they said to me, with their spouse, they said, this thing I'm not going to talk with you about. So I thought to myself, who are they going to talk to about this? And you know what? If I didn't push on this, they wouldn't have spoken to anyone about it. And it was a big problem, a big problem. And they weren't going to talk to anybody. They are on their own as a couple, partly because of their own decisions, but partly because of society, right? And so, because of shame and secrecy, families are not reaching out for support. So what do we do about it? One of the best ways, and you guys could have told me this, okay? One of the best ways to be a better minister to families is for you to have the best family life that you can. Okay, so I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but this same point of have a healthy family applies to so many challenges. Okay, because I can tell you, as soon as your personal family starts to break down, once you face any challenge, whatever you're not gonna have the resilience. You're not gonna be able to do it, right? I remember when I was training in the counseling program. I had a client, we'd have clients. And one of the clients got into a fight with his wife about something. And I remember 2 days before that, I got into the same disagreement with my wife, right? And so I remember, like, as the husband was talking, it was the couple, but as the husband was talking, I felt my emotions coming up, right? Like, I'm starting to feel what he feels. And thank God, because we're trained, you know when you're supposed to know when that's happening, and you're supposed to make sure that you're only responding to their situation. Because if I was not trained, I would say, oh yeah, you should tell your wife this. All the things that I didn't want to say, I was afraid to say to my wife, I'll tell him to say to his wife, right? So, but that's not right? It's not right. So what the point here is that you have to be good, right? Because you are going to be able to minister to families better when your family life is good. Now, when you're serving, do not ignore family matters. Remember, yesterday we said, when you're serving, acknowledge God. Ask about their spiritual life. Ask about and the right opportunity. How's prayer? How's reading the Bible? Communion? What's happening? How's your relationship with God, right? Also, in your service, don't ignore family matters, right? We think we're just dealing with this kid, but there's a lot going on. And I can tell you, it's safe to assume, very safe to assume, no one's going to be upset about this. It's safe to assume they're having problems with their family. It's like very common. So you have to ask, right? You have to ask. Ask about, and sometimes they don't even know that their family problems are significant. They don't realize it. They're so used to it. It's just how they live, right? So ask about the individual's family system. And when we are serving, if we're giving a lesson, spend some time talking about healthy family dynamics, right? Like if we're going to talk about Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, talk about the lying. There's a trend of lying and deception, right? In this family, right? There was some secrets. We have to talk and say when something is wrong, say. Because sometimes we think as servants that we have to support the parents 100%. And I know this sounds a little, if you're a parent especially, you want to be supported 100%. But actually not exactly, right? We want our kids to grow up and have a clear understanding of what a healthy marriage and what a healthy family is. So we will support the unity of every family, but if the parents are doing something wrong, we need to support the right way. We can't just say it's right just because they're the parents. Right? So yeah, it's a hard balance to maintain. So instead of just in general, please be clear when something is wrong. Okay, be clear when something is wrong, but don't also try very hard not to compromise the integrity of the family because you're just a servant. Okay, you're just with the kid for 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or 5 hours, right? So we always want to encourage the unity of every family and have everybody love and respect each other. And at the same time, if there's something wrong, we need to support in a clear way. Okay? Do you guys get what I'm saying? It's a hard position. I'm getting a facial expression. That's
very
tough.
hard. Very hard because who am I to get involved in family dynamics?
Oh.
I'm going to be shut out. Like, what do you mean?
Sure.
mind your own business. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the definite 100% response I'm going to get from any.
Yeah. Let's come back to that. That's such a good point. A very good point. And only for time's sake, but I thank you for saying that. So let's just make a note to come back to that. Like, what happened? Like, I feel uncomfortable even saying something in the first place, right? It's a good point. Teach the right. Oh, I misspelled that. Sorry. Teach the right message about the role of the husband, wife, and parents. Teach it, right? It helps to teach this when the kids are young and as they're growing, because then they are going to start to form the right things. The problem is, if all they're doing is just following what they have been observing, now they're going to have to learn the right thing and unlearn the wrong thing. It's a lot of work, a lot of work, tons of work, And provide resources to those you're serving, like books and therapists. Thank you so much. Support new couples. Please, support new couples. As well as children in conflicted families. I want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, children in a conflicted family need you. Please. Please, they need you. Okay? If the parent, it's very hard to talk to some of these parents. We all know, right? Some of these parents, they cannot accept that they're doing anything wrong. They cannot accept advice from anybody, right? But these children can be suffering. And once you are there for them, you are the difference between life and death for them. Okay? So support them, right? Be there for them, right? Be there for them. How do you start? Just be available. And don't, remember you mentioned the agenda, just be there for them, right? Like if a kid doesn't have a good relationship with his dad, and one of you male servants comes and spends some time with him, his heart is it's like a magnet. Automatically it's going to stick to you, right? It's just going to stick like that, right? So you don't have to do that much work. Just be there. Just be there and be loving. Okay? Same thing for our ladies, right? Same thing. It's our hearts were designed to have a healthy family, which means that our heart is waiting for it, looking for it. So if we don't have it at home, we're going to find it. And the problem is there's a risk to find it in the wrong place, right? Number 2, this is a big topic, right? Big topic. But we're just going to touch on the high level points, but there's so many deep topics in this, which is relativism. Relativism. Big social problem. May God protect us all. The Oxford Languages Dictionary defines relativism. It's a doctrine. The doctrine that knowledge, truth, and morality exist in relation to culture, society, or historical context and are not absolute. In other words, what it means is anybody can say what the truth is. And anybody can have their version of the truth, even if our versions contradict each other. And everybody's right. Right? That's what relativism is. Because we're in this challenge in our society, all these bad, crazy ideas come up. And everybody thinks they're right. Right? This is a big social challenge. Different philosophies are being propagated almost daily. If anybody here has ever seen more than 5 TikTok videos, right? I don't have a TikTok account, but I get so many forwards of links of TikTok videos of all these different ideas. Anybody just can start record any idea and post it for millions to see, right? And you see it. And what happens on the other side? We have all these people scrolling and watching, right? And nobody is checking this stuff, right? And we as Christians are put in this position of having to respond and defend our faith. We're put in this position all the time, right? Social media can give anyone a platform, and the other challenge is that social media accelerates the communication. Before when we didn't have all the internet and everything, it takes time for information to move around. But now on the internet, it doesn't even take a second, right? You're not even recording a video and then posting it. You're going live, right? You would start live broadcasting right now from your phone of anything you want to say, right? Anybody that could do it, right? So this is a good thing if it's used for good, but it's a very bad thing if it's used for bad. What are the causes? Satan and his evil army are at work. We have to acknowledge this. The devil is working, right? We don't ignore this fact. The devil is working. But of course we know that we have the power of the cross and the resurrection. So if I'm going to fight the devil, by myself, he's going to squash me. But I have the cross. I have the power of the cross and the resurrection. So Satan, I can conquer him with the power of Christ, right? The other cause is that people are upset. They feel misunderstood. They feel neglected. And new ideas can come about as desperate cries for help. Somebody is trying to explain the harm and the hurt they experienced in their life. And they're just like, their mind is trying to find an explanation. Let me give you an example. I wasn't planning to say this, but one of the issues with children is that they don't have a sophisticated understanding of emotions when they're young. They don't get it. So when they see their parents fighting, because at the same time they look at their parents as being role models and they're providers and they're so dependent on them, they can't reconcile that my parents are imperfect. They can't reconcile this with the fact that they're completely dependent on their parents and their parents are their role models, right? So what ends up happening with children is they say, oh, I am the problem. The child says unconsciously, they say, I am the problem. In this home, I'm the problem. So this child, like very quickly, it doesn't take a long time, develops very low self-esteem, right? So this is an example of when people feel misunderstood and hurt and all this stuff, they're trying to find an explanation for what's happening. And so they'll say, oh, I was born this way. Or whatever other explanation they can come up with, right? Also, I think that, it's not black or white, that we have not done a good job at articulating in a simple and clear way our perspective on certain issues. Okay? It took me a very long time to be able to just have these 3 pieces on the homosexuality point. Right? I had to talk to a lot of people and read and do all this, just to finally be able to put it in a simple way, right? It's a lot of work, right? But I can tell you that I consulted a lot of Christian sources, many Christian sources, but not all of them were readily available, right? And so we have to do this work. Like, please, it's not enough to be right. You also have to be effective. Like, you have to reach the person. You could be as right as you want. You could be as right as you want, but you have to be able to reach the person. So work very hard on how you're going to package the message, right? How are you going to package it? We see St. Paul, we see Jesus, when they were preaching and speaking and teaching, they had different approaches to different people, right? The conversation, if we had more time, we can watch, analyze the conversation between Jesus and the Samaritan woman. Or St. Paul when he was talking to the philosophers, right? There's a lot of techniques in these conversations, and it's not all the techniques available, right? We're learning as a people, we're advancing and learning more things, right? So when we don't do a good job of articulating simply and clearly, this makes our response not very compelling. The kids look at us and they're like, when I'm on the internet, when I'm at school, this person gives me a very clear point of view. I come to church and ask what the church's point of view is, and they don't give me a very clear answer. And now as adults, when someone is talking to you and they don't know what they're talking about? You guys know what I'm talking about? Like you ask someone for their opinion and they look the other way and they're like, and you can tell when someone is not confident in what they're saying, right? It also makes our people's minds weak. Like our people as Christians, it can make their minds weak if they're not thinking about the details and learning and arguing and challenging and figuring things out, right? And we lose our people's trust, right? We lose their trust. Let me just tell you one last thing, because it impacted me very much. When I was 17 years old, I was doing an internship with the city in New York, and I was very ambitious in learning about the church and everything. And I remember one of the other interns who was there was, we were both 17 years old, I was 16, and he was like a very well-learned Protestant person, right? And he knew his Bible so well. And at 17 years old, this guy was being invited to other churches in other states to give sermons in the Protestant churches, right? And he started to ask me questions about orthodoxy Oh my goodness. Priesthood, incense, saints, sacraments, and I'm like, and every time he asks a question, he gives a Bible verse, right? And I remember I was so confused and I was scared. I was like, he's using Bible verses. I don't have any to say back. And I remember, the thing that made the big difference for me was I went to my father for confession. I said, Abuna, he's saying this and this and this and that. He didn't even flinch, right? He just said, oh, this is the answer to this, and this is the answer to that, and this is the answer to this. And he just went to his shelf, gave me 3 books about each of the topics. He said, read this, right? Because if my church did not have an answer, a clear answer, I would have lost trust. Another thing, actually, let me save the story for the end, just for time's sake. Okay, we'll get to it. There's a story about when my father confession told me that some other servant was wrong in something very big, which made a big difference in my life, right? So we'll come back to that. But just to say on this point, is that we often say, this is another cause of this issue, is that we say the right thing, but in an insensitive way. If you say the right thing, but in an insensitive way, this leads people to, like we say, as a saying, they dig their heels into the ground. Like, they say, you know what? You're going to say this, fine, I'm going to dig my heels and I'm not moving. Right? This is my position. That's why I always like to say, please don't be like too firm on a lot of things. Don't be too firm, because if you push back really hard, they're going to push back really hard. And now it's not even about right or wrong, it's about ego. Right? So, and we don't want to deal with that. That's like another layer, very, very unnecessary. So what do you do about it? Pray for God's grace and wisdom. There are so many complicated things here. Very complex. Very complex. Please pray for God's grace and wisdom. Even if we're talking about homosexuality or any of these issues that a lot of us are very concerned about, the way someone is connected to these topics there's like 100 ways. So we have a lot. We need God's grace. We need to pray. Like, just ask God for wisdom. That's very important. Also, do the work. Prepare. Learn the different points of view and how we can effectively deliver the message. Part of the reason why I'm kind of like stalling on this transgender point is because I haven't packaged the message yet. I know points, but I need to sit down and do the work. We all need to, right? It's not just me; it's all of us, right? We need to sit down and read the books and talk to the right people and ask and see what's happening and understand the emotions underlying this, right? We have a lot of learning to do, right? When you respond, please respond clearly, sensitively, and objectively. Clearly, sensitively, and objectively. Also, follow up with one-on-one discussions to support the individual. Like, you see, sometimes you get asked a question among a group, and you have to give, like, the official answer, right? But please follow up after. Please, follow up after with the individual, okay? Because there's the right answer, but then each person's experience is different. Go and talk with them one-on-one and say, hey, I know we were talking about this in the group. Like, what can we talk more? Like, what do you think? And we have a conversation, right? Because each individual is at a different stage of understanding. Remember, a strong relationship with those you serve gives you significant leverage because you will be trusted and your life will be admirable. If the kids look up to you, they will listen. That's a big responsibility, because then you can't just say whatever you want. You have to say the right thing, and you have to live a good life, right? But remember, the relationship is the base, is a strong part of the foundation, right? They have to love you and trust you and look up to you, okay? Actually, this is related to the third challenge. What is one of the challenges of being a servant? That you're in the spotlight a lot. It's not cool, right? Sometimes you don't want to be in the spotlight. You just want to just sit in the back, you know? I remember, this is kind of a weird thing to say, but like 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, something happened and I got to church late, right? And so I was standing with my wife in the middle of the church, and we're just standing there, like, usually I'm a deacon. And I said, oh my goodness, after that liturgy, I said, I don't remember the last time I prayed in liturgy, right? Because when you're a deacon, you have a lot of work. You're trying to coordinate with other deacons, which hymn, what season, what does Abuna need, what does the other deacon need, who's getting their turn, who's going to do the readings, are we doing this in the right way, and all this stuff. You have like 1 minute to pray between each thing, and it takes time, right? So we can sometimes be so distracted by doing stuff, by being observed, by being judged. We don't want to be judged, and you're worried about being judged. But I want to tell you that you cannot escape this either, right? Jesus was perfect. He's perfect. He made no mistakes, and he was judged very harshly, right? And the reason why I'm talking about this because I don't want anyone to avoid serving because they're worried about being judged. This is just like it's like damage that's probably going to happen, but just go serve anyway, right? Go serve anyway, okay? As a servant, your lifestyle and decisions are being judged by the community. You may even feel like there are double standards, right? Like someone might judge you badly about something they're doing. Or they're going to judge you, but not judge other people who are doing the same thing, right? You can be judged. Also, you can sometimes be blindsided. Like you find out you were judged on something that you had no bad intentions. You were just doing everything fine, and you find out somebody's judging you or criticizing you very harshly with something, right? Why does this happen? Because there are many people with impure intentions who are looking for a reason to challenge the church, right? Some people, I'm not saying they're bad people, but the church is a threat to a lot of people, right? Because why? Because the church is telling me how to live my life. The church is telling me to submit to someone else who's not me, right? The church is telling me to be a disciple. The church is telling me that some of the things I understand might not be accurate, right? So if you start to chip away at the credibility of the church and you challenge the servants, this can make you feel like, oh, okay, maybe the church isn't right all the time, right? And they can do that. Some people are looking for a way to justify or excuse their own misbehavior. And also there's a temptation to gossip, like, especially when we're bored. Like, sometimes I find that, when you meet someone, you just start hanging out, you're catching up on things. And then you run out of things to talk about. So what do you do next? You talk about someone else, right? You just run out of things to talk about. That's it, conversation's done. But you want to keep hanging out and having fun. So you start a new topic. It's someone else. You start gossiping, right? Also, you're in the spotlight. You are in the spotlight. That's it, right? And this is part of your calling as a servant. And one of the ways that you serve is by demonstrating the lifestyle that God calls Christians to serve. So one of your ways that you serve is by demonstrating the Christian life. You guys get what I'm saying? You don't even have to open your mouth. Huh? Like what? Yeah, like potion. Yeah. So I want, like, just by living, by existing, you're serving, right? Because you're showing people. Anybody looks at you, and they know this is what a Christian does. That's what the Christian does, right? And we all know many people how sometimes we learn a lot of good things just by watching them, right? Just by seeing how they do things. I remember one time I was in a church years ago, and I saw two priests. What the older priest yelled at the younger priest, right? Like for something. And both of them are very loved, by the way, like in a big way. But then I saw how the younger priest responded, right? And I said, that is a big, good lesson for me, how to see how he responded, right? I learned something he didn't even say anything. He didn't even say anything, right? And I learned something. Later, the older priest went in front of everyone and apologized to him, right? To show like this beautiful relationship that they had. They were good friends, right? They had a very good relationship, right? But just sometimes things got out of hand. So what do we do about it? See this as first being helpful to your spiritual life. And I know we're just out of time, but please, if you don't take any other points from this, I just take this one point, okay? That see it as being first helpful to your spiritual life. I am, okay, fine, I'm serving, and I get some attention. You know what? I better make sure I'm doing the right thing all the time. I better be on top of my game. I can't screw up, right? Actually, and Abuna was just telling us about that yesterday, right? And I always say to myself, okay, maybe there's something I'm going to be embarrassed if people are watching. What? God knows what I'm doing even if I'm not watching. Right? Sometimes sometimes the people watching is really a reminder that God is watching, right? So remember that, right? Let this be a motivation to you, not a hindrance. Let it be a motivation for you to live a righteous life. Remind yourself that you should be even more considerate of God, who knows even not just what you do, but what you think and what you feel, right? Consider your environment and who could be made to stumble by your actions, even if your actions are right in the sight of God. So this is a tough point here, because sometimes you're doing the right thing and someone can still judge the right thing, right? So, and this is a very tough thing to manage. What St. Paul said, he said, therefore, if food makes my brother stumble, I will never again eat meat, lest I make my brother stumble. In other words, because what he's talking about is like there are pagan gods, and they were sacrificing meat, food to the gods. We don't believe that those gods exist. Like this food is nothing. The whole setup is nothing to us, because we only have one God who exists, and all the other gods don't exist. They're not real. So, but if because it doesn't mean anything to you, and you go eat from this food, someone can look at you and say, "Oh, they're participating in the sacrifices and the worship of other gods." So St. Paul said, "Oh no, wait! If me eating from this is going to make someone stumble, I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to eat again, even though it's not a sin, right? I'm just not going to do it, right? Accept this as a sacrifice that you make to serve God. Okay? See shallow thinking as an opportunity to teach deeper understanding, but not out of a desire to defend yourself. Like, for example, let's say we're in the middle of Great Lent, and somebody buys cookies for the group, and there's a young child who looks at the ingredients and finds there's in the last ingredient there's a small little piece of butter, or whatever it is, right? And then he says, this is not fasting. This is not fasting, right? And this is the little child's understanding, or the kid's understanding. Don't rush to defend yourself. It's not about defending yourself. But see this as an opportunity. At some point soon, we need to respond and help enhance their understanding of what is fasting, right? Is this the acceptable fast? To check all the ingredients? And once the ingredients are good, does it mean your fast is now good? Is that the criteria for an acceptable fast? No, right? We need to fast with the food, but there's more, right? And that's what we need to be doing. So see it as an opportunity, not try to defend yourself, okay? And last thing is, whatever you do, because this is a big sin, whatever you do, do not defend your wrongdoing. If you do something wrong, we all make mistakes, but remember that you are representing the church, yes?
Actually, a very quick point. But if this cookie is going to stumble my brother, I shouldn't eat from it. That's what you just said.
Yeah.
So I mean, don't defend yourself and go with what he wants to see.
Use your judgment. Use your judgment. If nobody's checking the ingredients, right, and you're okay with your spiritual father and everything about your fast, it's not the biggest deal if there's a little thing or whatever.
For us, but
if the kids are going to stumble, wait, we don't want to confuse them.
Thank you.
But we also then, in addition, we need to now use the opportunity and teach them the full meaning of fasting. We all start with pieces. Everybody starts with pieces. Thank you for that. Remember that you are representing the church. Okay? Please, it's a big responsibility, but also you're not doing it alone. Okay? God will help you. All of us, anyone who's representing the church is imperfect. Okay? We need God's grace, right? We need God to help us. So, I want you please not to be like, I can't do this, I can't represent, I can't do anything, I'm stuck, it's for other people. No, don't do that either, right? But just remember that you're representing the church in your response. So, do not defend your own wrongdoing. When you make a mistake, apologize and repent. That's it. Please don't try to appear perfect or appear right or twist it so that, I'm kind of right. No, I messed up, I made a mistake, I'm sorry, I messed up, okay? So the summary of this whole thing is 4 parts. Challenges from those you serve, lack of motivation, fear of vulnerability, disrespect, and rejection. This is coming from the people we're serving. Number 2, personal and spiritual challenges. We think that because we're active, we're growing spiritually, not necessarily. We neglect investments in our marriage and family. We separate salvation from the work of the service. When you think of this, just remember Chuck E. Cheese, right? Just remember Chuck E. Cheese. You can make the reservations for Chuck E. Cheese, but that's all you're doing, and you're saving the part about relationship with God to someone else. It's all connected, right? Make it connected. and not making time to rest. Organizational challenges, the resources are always limited. Balancing between these cultures, one based respect for seniority, one respect for meritocracy, and underinvestment in developing the person of the servant. And then today we spoke about the breakdown of the family, relativism, and the challenge of being in the spotlight, right? And how to handle this, right? Because you can't escape it either. Thank you so much. Glory be to God.
To be honest, I can't find the words to thank Makar so much for putting such an amazing work. All this information, it took him I don't know how many hours of preparation, really, and also to take from the time spending with his wife, especially congratulations expecting the first child.
See you in a few years.
Be here with us all the whole time and all this weekend, really it's amazing sacrifice, and I can't thank you enough, Makar. God really bless you and bless your service and ministry and always use you for the benefit and the growth of those whom you serve. I think everybody, and I usually don't like to mention names but all those who put the time and effort to put this retreat together, a lot of people put a lot of time, a lot of work. God bless them all. God knows everyone by her name, and I say especially her name first because they're mostly ladies, and of course their names, because also the other people help a lot with everything, organization, songs, music, media, everything. A lot of things a lot of work put into this retreat to make it happen this way. Reservations, name it, so many things. And we just come and enjoy the time, and there's a lot of work behind the scenes to make this really happen. Thank you so much for everyone put the time and effort for this retreat, and I'm hoping next time, although I don't know how we're going to accommodate everyone, especially with the increase of the number of servants, and God bless the church prayers of San Justina. slow it down شوية بقى أحسن إحنا مش we can keep up. عمال الناس تيجي thank God, it's a great blessing, and we're so happy with the service of the church. God bless all of you, and please keep praying as Makar stressed on that a lot, and really this is the secret of the success of any service. A lot of prayers. Let us pray always together for the service. I hope everyone make the effort and the time to be with us on Wednesday, and hopefully one day we'll move it to being back in person. But at least, even if we move the person, I think we're always going to keep the Zoom, so those who can make it to church, at least they can pray with us at home or whatever their place. بس مش في طيب anyway that's inside joke. Please keep praying for the service عشان ربنا continue to bless and to continue to support us and help us to provide the best we can for the people, because believe me, when we serve the people and make the sacrifices and make the commitment, definitely we see a lot of fruits, a lot of results. And people, they love the church, they come to the church because they see how the church is fulfilling all their needs, satisfying all their needs. فعشان كده, this is a big responsibility, and God willing, I will do anything possible to invest in the service. Can Mina witness, very recently was asking for some financial support for the YA, and believe me, when I presented to the church committee, board, they all agreed on it right away without hesitation, because they saw how the time and the effort, and they said we want to support this ministry. اللي بيعملوها في YA مينا ورائد وبولا وكل الستاف is working on it. إحنا we're willing to invest in anything financially, then God provides. This is not us, God. And to be honest, truly إحنا we see God's blessing. وإحنا طبعا approaching a huge project, and we don't know how we're gonna do it, but we always count on God's blessing. وأنا دايما أقول إن أي حاجة بتتبني في الكنيسة بتتبني بالمحبة. ربنا when God see the love, He provides. Okay, no matter how little we have, still God provides and things gets done. So God bless this church and all we do and all the servants, and help us always to be always united like one. This is the oneness of the church. This is the secret of the strength of the church. When we love one another and care and put the service as the goal, not you forget about yourself. Nobody seeking anything for himself or herself, and always put the service as a priority. Then we see God's wonders, and we always glorify Him for all His great work. There's still a lot of work ahead of us. There's a big room for us to improve and to grow, and especially in the organization. But it also needs a lot of servants. There's a lot of ideas, a lot of potential, but we need a lot of. So pray that God may send to us the servants to help to accomplish all these goals we have in the church. So hopefully one day we see all our dreams, and في كلمة قالها لي مرة الأنبا يوسف بتاع بوليفيا قال لي never stop dreaming. Never stop dreaming. And هو فعلا this is how he works. When you go to Bolivia, it's unbelievable the service that he's doing there. And it started just only him. There was nothing. Started really from the scratch. We're gonna keep dreaming to have really a great church, great in the love and the humility and the service and the dedication, the commitment, all these things. So we'll see how the church also to serve everyone and provide the need for everyone. And hopefully one day this church will really, for not just for our people, but for also the community around us. We want our church to have impact on all the community. And thank God, I'm telling you, our church has a very, very great impact on the city. And the city, كل اللي هم الchairman, every time I go there for a public hearing, they don't have anything but really nice things about San Justina Church. And a lot of them, they know exactly the location. They always say a good stuff. Thank God. It's all God's grace and prayer of San Justina. So God bless you all. And I personally had a great time. I hope every one of you live here, feel that they really had a great time and great time spiritually. And we really were filled. Thank you so much, Makar, again. God bless you. God bless you all. God bless the ministry in the church. And I need your prayer. I have longer travel now. I'm going to go and just straight to the airport and going to Egypt. Your prayers. I'm coming back Saturday. Your prayers كده وإن شاء الله we'll see you بقى when I come back God willing next Saturday إن شاء الله. الله يسلمك. Thank you. Yes, تفضل. Of course. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Abuna, and thank you, Makar, and thank you for all of you. I know I'm on the spot, but I really didn't do that much. All the youth and Dalia and the support of Abuna is the reason for this retreat. So I know I'm بحطي في وش المدفع كده كل مرة, بس صدقوني a lot of people put a lot of time and effort to bring up this retreat to what you saw today and this weekend. So it was blessings, and I don't know what to say. I don't want to go back.
I know.
It went too fast, and thank you so much. We really learned a lot, and the only reason that I want to go back and see all of you back in the church so we can apply everything we learned this weekend. So thank you for all of you. The only thing I want to say is I just want to say that I really felt that God is in charge of this retreat. And the only thing that I can say about this is, or the proof to say that, is the schedule. السكيدجول ده احنا شغالين فيه من last week, okay? We printed it like 3-4 times because it keeps changing on us. And God bless Mary's heart and Justina's heart because they were working on it with me. And every time there's a change, they will reprint and cut and do the name tags and change the booklets. And if you notice, even in the booklet, the page of the schedule, you have another one on the top of it. This happened on Friday when we came in because it was the last minute change, usually, always, you know. So when we came on Friday, we said, okay, finally we got it right, so we're good. Guess what? Never happened. God had a different schedule for us. God had a different plan for us. So he was really in charge of this retreat, and he just planned it hour by hour, and we just followed his plan. So
that's good.
Thank God. You have your keys. I told you the first day that they needed our help with the towels and sheets. Please forget about that. We already got this settled. All you need to do, just if there's any trash in the bag in the room, like bathroom or the kitchen area, just take it outside in that big trash can outside your room. That's all what you need. Make sure, please, you take all your stuff with you, especially if you have kids. You know, any toys, anything, maybe like under the couch or something. Please double check before you leave, and leave your door unlocked. And please give Dalia the key, place it here. Because at the end, before we leave, Dalia will just turn in all the keys for you. Okay? So I'll start.
Get together. Okay? No. Guys, please, 10 minutes. We'll be back at 1 o'clock for the presentations. Thank you. I keep calling you. What's going on?
Should we go pack first or?
Thank you so much. Thank you. We wanted to talk about something. No.
Sorry. Because you wanted to have a break with wine.
Thank you so much. So nice to meet you. Thank you so much. Sure, thank you. So there's two things. One is the science. There's no science that supports this at this point. Actually, there are a lot of studies that show that sexual partners are not genetic. For example, just one of them is two twins. Identical? Yeah, identical. So they're genetically very similar. One of them has same-sex preferences, one has opposite sex preferences. So, and there's many examples. There's no proof that it's genetic. There's no proof. So, the problem is that this is like if somebody's asking for this, they usually somebody Gender confusion due to low attachment to the same-sex parent. So living with my mom, and I'm saying I've seen this with my own eyes. It always starts to like the way his mannerisms, they're kind of feminine, like the way he moves his hips, the way he moves his hands, the way he speaks. Yeah. And then he goes to school, and his friends come to him. So maybe something is wrong. And so he starts exploring. And the body just physiologically is not going to distinguish. The body just knows pleasure. It's the mind that knows gender. So for each person, it's very hard to trace back.
When did this happen?
Generations by generations. Better?
Yeah.
This ASEAN.
But you like that would give you the inspiration.
You like
And you're going to go wild.
Sounds like Russia.
It's going to be very hard. You can move it. Like, significant.